No, looking forward to it. Obviously, it's a lot of excitement. The fact that it's tournaments in Brazil. You'd expect the home nation to be very, very strong. Obviously, the squad has been announced now with England, so yeah, that's going to be exciting for everyone. But I wouldn't say I'm that excited. Maybe I will be in a few weeks when it comes around, because I've got games coming up with Ireland. But I'm looking forward to the World Cup. Particularly, obviously, looking at the attacking players on show. It should be pretty good.
You went out there with Manchester United for the World Club Championship. What did you take away from that? And how different is it for guys going out this year from European sides?
Well, we obviously played at a different time of the year, but it was still very, very difficult. The conditions, more so for dealing with the recoveries when you've made runs. Obviously United been an English team and we were very up and at them type of thing, and maybe England might be the same. So you just got to deal with that. It's vitally important England get the balance right in terms of keeping the ball, when to attack and get your recovery runs in. A lot of that is common sense. So that'll be the big problem, I think, for England in terms of retention of the ball and getting the recovery in when they get a chance.
It is still an issue for England, the retention of the ball. Do we have that within the squad to be able to sort of change it a bit during the World Cup?
I think it will be very difficult to try and sort it out in the next few weeks, but that's where no doubt and guess Roy Hodgson might look at playing a different system in terms of maybe playing three in the middle, which he's done before. But you do have to try and get a foothold in the game and as I say, get decent possession. But they certainly have the manager with all the experience to handle tournaments and the conditions. But again, it's easier said than done. It's very easier for us to sit around the table and say, well, you need to keep the ball better. But in the heat of battle, it can be very difficult. And that's why I think it might be a big problem for England, particularly if they get out of the group and then they're knockout stages, where they're coming up against nations who obviously are better at it than England.
Wayne Rooney's taking physios away with him on holiday with here. How big is this tournament for him? How important for him to be remembered as a player?
Well, Wayne's a top player, but I'm sure he'd be disappointed with some of his previous, I suppose, performances for England in major tournaments, which in defence he's gone in on the back of a few of them with some injuries. He's had a few niggly problems over the last week or two, or last maybe month or two with United. But generally speaking, I think his form's been decent. But you'd expect for England to have a real impact at this World Cup. You need Wayne Rooney firing on all cylinders. So yeah, it's a big tournament for Wayne. But I have to say, I think every tournament Wayne goes into, he feels a big tournament. There's a lot of pressure on him, but he's used to that. But he's got good support around now. England are going into the tournament, a lot of good attacking players who are in good form, and maybe give a bit more support to Wayne, because maybe he's felt before it's all down to him and he's got to produce, and that creates problems in itself. He can be trying too hard, which has maybe led to injuries before. So the players in and around him, we've got to give him the service, and hopefully he can go into the tournament fully fit, because I know obviously he's had one or two problems.
Would you play him as the central striker, or would you play him off Sturridge?
Well, the beauty for Wayne, I've seen Wayne playing in these different positions over the years, where he's played up front on his own, obviously played off the front of another striker, whether it be Van Persie, and I think the good players and players like Wayne have the intelligence to play in a number of positions. So he gives Roy Hodgson loads of good options and any system to play. As I said, I've seen Wayne before playing up front on his own, and he's been absolutely outstanding. So that's a role I think he's more than capable of doing.
Roy, realistically, how do you see him faring in this tournament?
I think it's going to be very difficult. I think looking at the group, I think they've obviously got a good mixture. They've got some decent, good experience, some good young players. Do I expect them to get out of the group? Yeah, you'd expect them to get out of the group, but after that I think it's going to be very, very difficult. I just think they're going to come up short, whether it be the conditions or the maybe lack of quality they have in certain areas. They need a bit of luck, you talk about injuries, any of the centre halves, if they got injured or even suspended early in the tournament, could be a problem. So I just think they haven't got the strength and depth to go and have a big impact in the tournament, although they do have players in attacking positions who can have a good tournament, which obviously will help.
One thing that England do have, which I probably haven't had over the last few tournaments, is genuine legs in midfield, players who have got the ability to go past players. That can make a big impact at the highest level.
Yeah, of course, and that will be the difference we see regularly over last year to the tight matches in the Premiership, tight games in Champions League. That's why obviously the Ronaldos and the Messis are the top players in the Bales, because they can go past the player. And you're right, England, that's a good point. England do have one or two players in that position, and once you go past somebody, it opens up opportunities. So yeah, that could be a big push for England. You just hope these players turn up for the tournament The conditions don't affect them too much. As I said, the beauty for England going into the tournament, the players in the attacking positions, they're all in good form.
Can I ask you about Manchester United? A lot of people feared what would happen after Sir Alex Ferguson left. David Moyes came in, and it's been a poor season, hasn't it?
Yeah, of course. It's been, I think they finished with a 6th or 7th. It's been tough for everyone at the club. Obviously, David, I felt, and repeat myself, should have been given a bit more time. If another transfer window at least to get some players in. They struggled last summer to get players in, and obviously they brought Matt in. Then, the second window was probably too little, too late. So it's been difficult, but. When you're a big club like Man United, you have to deal with the setbacks. We've seen it before, where they've gone a season without winning a trophy and they've bounced back. Obviously, it was always going to be difficult with Alex Ferguson leaving. Then there's uncertainty with players. We see Rio's leaving. Obviously, Vidic was leaving the last few months. Question marks over Everett, Giggsy, and people like that. So all that indecision has played its part. But it's a challenge to the players now, and whoever comes in, the new manager, to bounce back. And there's no doubt in my mind they will.
You just mentioned Rio. 12 years at the club, you know him quite well, you played with him as well. How big a gap does he leave?
Yeah, no, Rio's been a top player for Man United, and he's going to be a big loss. But Rio must have had the feeling in the last few months that the writing was on the wall. If United were keen to keep him on, I'm sure they would have done the deal. So obviously Rio's mindset, it wasn't a shock to me yesterday when he said he was leaving, because players get vibes, and if the club wanted to keep him, I'm sure they would have discussed it a few months ago. But that's the nature of the beast, Vidic has left, obviously Rio, big losses, as I said, they're top players. But United would have to go and invest now, because Jones and Smalling and one of these other two players have maybe come up short a little bit centre half, but they've got other players, Johnny Evans. But no doubt the new manager coming in will look at that position, because it's vital that they go and buy one or two players in.
I'm expecting that new man to be Van Gaal. What do you make of that potentially as the new United manager?
Well, again, everyone's speculating. It looks like it's a done deal. The fact is, obviously, his contract's expiring after the World Cup. Straightforward deal from United's point of view. He's got vast experience. You hear a lot of things about him, but I've heard a lot of good stuff about Van Gaal. If he comes in, you wish him well. But you hope he's given a lot more time than David Moyes was.
Just want to ask you about your old mate Ryan Giggs, took over for the last 4 games. How do you think he handled himself in that position?
Giggs has done well. Again, with the 4 games, I think Giggs has been quoted saying obviously he was kept busy in that short space of time, and never mind he wasn't dealing with any transfer windows then, but he obviously have to manage the 4 games, and I'm sure it was 2 victories, a draw and a defeat, a mixed bag to him, but I'm sure he's enjoyed the experience. He said he wants to become a manager. I certainly think it was, it would have been way too early for Giggs to become manager of Man United. But if he's kept on board with Van Gaal, again, you're learning all the time, and always nice to see him. And again, anyone who steps into being a manager, whatever they are, you wish him well. And as I said, Giggs, he had some mixed results, but I'm sure he'd be better for the experience.
And how are you enjoying international manager working with Martin O'Neill?
No, it's great. Again, we've had 2 or 3 games. We've had a few friendly matches, the qualifiers in starting September. We'll get down to the real business. We've got some games coming up at the end of the season. I'm enjoying working with Martin and Seamus and all the other staff. We're learning a lot about the group of players. So fingers crossed we can have a good campaign.
Right, obviously you started at Ireland in '94. Such as football, though, people remember 2002 a bit more. What are your memories?
I remember '94 more. Because I played.
Obviously for us in the media, of course. So what are your memories, good or bad, of that affair, and does it still leave a bit of a bad taste?
No, it's gone. Again, how many more times do you want to go over it? It's done and dusted. Obviously, listen, I'm looking at the positives now. I'm back involved in with Ireland, enjoying working with the players and Martin, and you move on from those things. I haven't got the time or the energy to kind of go back over it. It's gone over it so many times. I've tried to be upfront with the media about it, or anytime I do something, or it might be charity gig, people want to talk about it, and I've given my bit towards it, but I'm not sure where you want to go with this.
Do you know what I mean? Like some of the players here, like Brighty, for example, say just missed out. It always rankles as something, as a regret. If you could go back, would things have gone?
No, but hindsight's a wonderful thing. No, as I said, I made my stand. So I'm on about. I didn't want to go over all ground, and this is exactly what we wanted to do. I don't even think about it. It's history. It's moved on. I've got no real comment to make on it.
Can I just ask you a bit more about conditions and the wall that's going to hit England players? You went at the peak of your condition with United to play in Brazil. What's it feel like when you got on the pitch? Were you prepared for it And United are good at preparing for
Yeah,
games.
no. Well, again,
What do you feel like?
You can prepare all you want. It's like England going to Miami. I think it'll make very little difference to when the games start. This idea of
Miami
training or playing in extreme heat. We obviously we had problems in '94. We played in Orlando for the World Cup. There's no preparing you for it. It's a case of just